Do you work in Las Vegas? That's my question to you today. And I'll tell you why I say Vegas, because I'm talking about basically slot machine style work, which is pretty much how everything in the computer works. And I ask you this question is what specifically is about variable rewards, and that is essentially the slot machine. And I ask you, do you feel like your day is spent in them? And do you actually, if you manage a team or a company, have you set your team up to basically be slot machine attendees, or people who sit at slot machines all day? And so there's a few areas where we could break it down. And one is your communications. So is there a flow for people to actually get work done and carve out time to do things? Or does everyone go back to inboxes, wait for emails to come in, and then address those? And I know that's been discussed a lot in the past, reactive work versus proactive work. But my video is to ask you and make you maybe think about it, because I think we often fall back into the slot machine style. So the variable rewards refers to the idea of, I guess it's some kind of psychology and maybe looking at probably a lot of experiments done on animals in terms of food being dispensed from a thing, and you press the button and the food comes out, and they even have that in the show Lost. They end up in a weird some kind of zoo for humans, or I don't know I don't remember what was going on, but they had that thing where you press a button. And so what happens is that sometimes you go to check your email and there's nothing there. And then other times you go back and there's 3 emails there. And so your brain, I think in this case, releases dopamine. So you get a bit of a hit when the email comes in. And also having no email is a part of the hit as well. And this is so that's the whole thing with email. And then there's also the same issue with checking the news and news feeds. So I really recommend not checking the news as much as you can. It's, in Toronto we have Blog.to. It's quite addictive because the stories are kind of weird and silly sometimes, and it's about food, and there's new stories come out throughout the day. So it's pretty much the best website. And the comments section is nuts. They're awful comments, and there's debates. It's so ridiculous. But also local news is important, and local issues. There's a lot of important stuff in terms of local news. But in general, like Google News is where I sometimes check news. I also check through the Globe and Mail and New York Times, but I notice when I'm hitting a roadblock in stuff I'm doing, one of the first places I'll go is to check the news. And it's a pretty bad habit because the news is dispensing these little hits. And sometimes you check the news and there's nothing that interesting. You come back and there is, or in your news feeds in different social networks, nothing interesting. Come back, there's the dopamine. So when you just know that when you're involved in this variable reward slot machine style behavior, which I mentioned at the top of this, do you work in Vegas? When you know you're in Las Vegas, I'd say that's awareness, and you have to pinch yourself and maybe go back to your list of goals, that like bigger goals in life and projects and things you really want to get done. Maybe if it's inside of a company, What's the most important work? What I call lately the most creative work, MCW, rather than MIT. Or most important task is MIT. I call it most creative work, the stuff that no one can copy. What I call your catch me if you can moment. It's everything is the most creative work. And well, yeah, when you're checking the news and you're in a slot machine, you can't get that done. You're reacting to crap. And so yeah, there's different strategies. Every team has their own way of working around it. But ultimately, management probably loses out, or your personal managers, if it's just one person, loses out when the whole day is spent, addressing just things that other people want from you. So schedule time to do the checks. I've been using Inbox Pause by Boomerang as one trick, but it doesn't solve all the problems. Or I put my phone in a drawer, and I schedule time, and I work on things for hopefully an hour, and then take a break. That's it comes from the Pomodoro method. All kinds of things, but the first step is rooting out variable rewards and slot machines. So if this is helpful, I don't know, do whatever you want with it. Share it with a friend. Let me know, and let me know if there's any other things you want me to talk about. So, all right, get out of Vegas.